Welcome to HH28, where we unravel the secrets of self-discovery and matchmaking. We are Hugh and Heather,
two master holistic guides dedicated to helping you navigate the worlds of numerology, astrology, and personality in pursuit of meaningful connections.
Welcome to another deep dive, listeners. Today we're going to be getting into the year of the horse in the Chinese zodiac.
Lots to unpack there. They're fascinating, aren't they? How those horse traits, those characteristics, they're not just about, what year someone was born, but they're so deeply connected to Chinese history and culture.
It's true. So to kind of start us off, kind of paint this really vibrant picture of horses as like being just really energetic and enthusiastic, like life of the party, always ready for an adventure, that kind of thing. But, and I love this about horses too, it's not all fun and games.
Right.
They're also described as incredibly hardworking and ambitious, always kind of like striving for more. One phrase that really stood out to me in the text was running like a horse, which I thought that was just so perfect because it really, gets at that drive and that boundless energy that horses have.
It does. And I think that energy, right, it's very directly tied to the horse's symbolism in Chinese culture. We're talking about strength and speed, intelligence, like a potent blend, really, of power and a kind of free spirit.
Okay, so we think about someone then who was born in the year of the horse. Like, what does this actually translate to in their lives? How does this actually manifest?
It suggests that, they often naturally gravitate towards leadership positions, because their energy, it's infectious, right? It inspires others to action. They also very often excel in like really creative fields, anything where innovation and thinking outside the box are celebrated. We're talking entrepreneurs, artists, people who really thrive in those really dynamic environments.
Okay, so not exactly the 9-to-5 office type.
Yeah, routine is not really their thing.
So speaking of dynamic environments, let's gallop into the world of relationships.
Sure.
Because we've got this compatibility chart, which, honestly, it's like a cosmic cheat sheet for who vibes best with our horse friends.
Right. And I think it's important to say, this isn't about, like, setting anything in stone or saying that, like, certain relationships are doomed from the start, but more about understanding those natural dynamics that exist between the signs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's more about like gaining some insights, not necessarily drawing any conclusions.
Right.
So who has like caught the horse's eye, let's say, when it comes to the realm of romance?
Romance. So
it looks like tigers, dogs, and sheep are like kind of leading the pack here.
Interesting.
So tigers, they bring that shared thirst for adventure.
Yeah, that fiery passion that horses really crave. Yeah.
And then there's the dog, which are known for their loyalty and really unwavering support, which I imagine is something that really resonates with that horse's, kind of deeper need for security.
It's true. It's that grounding influence that the horse sometimes, can benefit from.
And sheep, right, because their gentleness, their understanding, it just seems like that it would just perfectly complement the horse's, that sometimes unbridled energy.
It's true. It's about balance. Like a dog's grounding influence, as we were saying, it can do wonders for a horse's, their impulsiveness at times. It can help them create more harmony and balance in their life.
That's super interesting. Now, we can't talk about compatibility without talking about those pairings that require a little bit more, let's say, finesse.
Yeah, those, quote, worst match pairings, right?
Right, exactly. And again, this doesn't necessarily, this doesn't mean disaster, but it does highlight maybe some areas where, understanding and compromise are extra important.
For sure.
And our chart here, it's calling out the rat, ox, and rooster as potentially bumpy rides for the horse.
Okay, so let's break those down. The rat, right? So their cautious nature might clash with the horse's spontaneity, that need for freedom, as we were talking about.
Makes sense.
The ox, they love structure and tradition, right?
Yeah.
And that might feel stifling to a horse.
Yeah.
And then, of course, you've got the rooster, which, their tendency to be a little bit critical, even if it comes from a good place, it can sometimes dampen the horses, their natural enthusiasm.
Yeah, like a cosmic clash of personality.
Exactly.
But this isn't just about romantic relationships, is it? This extends to like the workplace as well.
Oh, absolutely. And interestingly enough, dogs, they make another appearance as like ideal colleagues for horses.
Oh.
Their reliability, their support, it creates a space, really, where horses can truly thrive in a professional environment.
It's like having a super organized work bestie who, like, always has your back.
Exactly.
What about horses and tigers in the workplace? That seems, from the chart, like that would be like a real power duo.
It can be. It can be.
Yeah.
Because they're both so ambitious, right?
Yeah.
They're driven. They push each other to like reach new heights. They have that shared enthusiasm, which can lead to some pretty amazing innovation and success.
Cool. Cool. What about rabbits?
Rabbits are great too. They're creative. They have that collaborative spirit. They make fantastic brainstorming partners for the horse.
Okay, but just like with the romantic relationships, I imagine there are certain pairings in the workplace that, might need a little extra attention
Yeah, for sure.
to really reach their full potential.
For sure. So for instance, the horse is very go with the flow style. It might clash with a rat's love of meticulous planning. And you definitely don't want to, try to put a horse in a really rigid, overly structured environment.
Disaster waiting to happen.
Exactly. You're going to stifle their creativity, their zest for the work. And I think just like we saw with the romantic pairings, that roosters, those critical tendencies can sometimes inadvertently, clip the horse's wings a little bit in a professional setting as well.
So, okay, we've talked about the horse's, really vibrant personality, their cosmically aligned companions, and also those relationships that that might just require a bit more navigation. But we have to remember every coin has two sides, right?
Always.
So understanding the strengths and weaknesses of the horse, like I imagine that's really key to unlocking their full potential.
Absolutely. And again, it's not about labeling or judging, right? It's about gaining that deeper understanding of the why behind the what.
So when it comes to, our sources, some of the horse's strengths that are highlighted are things like their independent spirit and really their unwavering work ethic.
Mm-hmm.
Like these are individuals who are not afraid to chase after what they want and really put in the effort to make things happen.
Yeah.
But that very independence, that can sometimes make long-term commitment, whether it's in, their personal life or even in their career. That can be a bit of a hurdle sometimes.
Yeah, because they have that innate desire for freedom.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So it might lead to some challenges in really sticking with routines or relationships that feel too restrictive. It's like that classic push and pull between freedom and commitment.
It's like they yearn for the open range, even when they've found a comfortable stable.
What a perfect analogy.
But, we can't shy away from the elephant in the room, or should we say the impulsiveness in the stable?
Ooh, I like that.
Because while their spontaneity is great, it leads to like all these amazing adventures, it is important, that horses kind of try to balance that out with a little bit more like careful consideration, especially when it comes to making big decisions.
Absolutely. Taking a moment to pause, reflect, it can prevent a lot of those wish I had thought that through moments.
Yeah, absolutely. But their creativity, their ability to think outside the box, that's pure magic.
Imagine the possibilities.
Yeah.
These are our innovators. These are the ones who challenge the way that everyone else is thinking about something and really bring new perspectives.
But as with anything, there's always kind of, the shadow side, right?
Right.
And with creativity, at least according to our research here, that can manifest as a tendency to be a little inconsistent.
Yeah, it's the classic double-edged sword, right?
Right.
They might be amazing at coming up with new ideas, but channeling that energy into sustained effort over a long period of time, well, that's where the challenge lies sometimes.
So the question is then, how can horses, how can they harness their really incredible strengths while also being aware of, and I guess navigating those weaknesses? Like, how do you take all of that raw talent and kind of refine it?
That is the million-dollar question, right?
Yeah.
And believe it or not, I think, the wisdom of the Chinese zodiac, it offers some clues.
Okay.
So remember how we were talking earlier about the horse's really like deep connection to energy and drive?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the Chinese zodiac, each sign is also associated with one of 5 elements: wood, fire, earth, metal, and water.
Oh, yeah, right. So it's like these elements, they add another like layer of depth and complexity really to their personality.
Exactly. And this is where we get into this really fascinating realm of the 5 types of horses. So it's like, imagine this, right? It's not just about being a horse. It's about what kind of horse you are.
Okay.
Because each element, the wood, the fire, the earth, the metal, the water, it kind of colors their personality in a really unique way. It's like each element brings its own energy to the stable, so to speak.
Okay, so you're saying there are like 5 different like versions of the horse.
Exactly.
Each with their own like strengths and weaknesses.
Exactly. So, for example, you've got like the wood horse.
Okay.
They're known for being super adaptable, very creative.
Okay.
They thrive in environments where they can like constantly learn and explore new things. Like think of them as the free spirits of the horse world.
So not exactly the type to have like a desk job then.
Probably not, no. They need their freedom,
Okay.
right? They crave flexibility and a lot of mental stimulation. Now, contrast that with like the earth horse.
Okay.
They're much more grounded and practical. Like they're the planners, the reliable ones of the bunch.
So they're the ones who like keep everyone else grounded while the wood horse is off like chasing butterflies.
You got it. They bring that sense of stability and organization to the horse's naturally like energetic nature. And then, of course, on the opposite end of the spectrum, you got the fire horse.
Oh, fire horse. Okay. Yeah, I mean, just those two words, they just scream passionate and intense.
Right. That's exactly what they're like. Probably the most fiery and energetic of all the horse types. Super charismatic, very ambitious, always ready to take charge.
The life of the party for sure.
For sure.
What about metal horses and water horses? Where do they fit in?
Yeah. So the metal horse, they're known for being really strong-willed, very determined, incredibly focused, driven, always striving to achieve their goals.
They have that running like a horse energy we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
And then lastly, you've got the water horse, which is perhaps the most intuitive and adaptable of all the horse types.
Yeah.
They're very in tune with their emotions, and they just have this like natural ability to connect with others on a really deep level.
Wow. It's amazing to me how even within like one sign there can be like so much diversity.
It's true.
But, we keep talking about all these personality traits and compatibilities and stuff, but like how does someone actually use this knowledge? How does this benefit them in their everyday life? It can't just be about like who to date or who to work with, right?
Right. And it's not. It's so much more than that. I mean, really, the Chinese zodiac, it's a tool for self-discovery and understanding.
Okay.
So for someone born in the year of the horse, like if they can figure out what their elemental type is, that can be so insightful for them.
So less about like fortune telling and more about just like self-awareness.
Exactly. So for instance, right, a fire horse, they might realize that they're most fulfilled when they can channel all that boundless energy that they have into like a leadership role or some kind of creative outlet.
Right.
Or a water horse might come to understand that, their intuition, that's like their superpower.
Right.
And they can really use that in their relationships, in their decision making.
So it's like having like a user manual for your personality.
Exactly. And even for people who aren't horses.
Yeah.
Like even if you're not a horse, just understanding these dynamics can be so helpful, especially when it comes to like navigating relationships with the horses in your life.
That's a really good point.
Right. So for example, imagine being able to understand why your horse friend is always like needing their freedom.
Yeah.
or like how to best motivate that horse colleague to really bring their A game.
Yeah, it's like you have this like secret decoder ring for understanding the people around you.
I love that.
And we always hear like communication is key.
Right.
But it's like this is giving you the entire language.
It's going beyond just the surface level.
Right.
And really trying to understand the motivations, the strengths, the challenges of each sign.
Mm.
And when you have that understanding, I mean, that can lead to more fulfilling relationships. It can make collaborations go more smoothly.
Yeah.
And just overall, it just helps you to have a more harmonious way of interacting with the world around you.
So what you're saying is whether you are a galloping horse or a steadfast ox, like the Chinese zodiac offers this like really fascinating lens through which to kind of view ourselves and the people around us.
Good sign.
And speaking of other signs, remember how earlier we were talking about those, those compatible pairings and the, let's just say, less compatible pairings.
Right.
It's really interesting to think about how those dynamics, they actually play out in different areas of life, whether we're talking about romantic relationships, work, family, friendships.
Yeah, for sure. Because it's almost like the zodiac is giving us a little sneak peek into like the natural rhythms of those relationships.
It's true. It really makes you think about like, those relationships, the ones that just seem to work, versus the ones that always feel like a bit of a puzzle or something.
It does.
Yeah.
And, knowing a bit about the Chinese zodiac can almost be like you said, having a cheat sheet to help you understand those dynamics a little bit better. So, for example, right, let's say you're a lore and you're constantly butting heads with a rooster coworker.
Okay.
It might be helpful to remember that those two signs, they naturally clash a little bit.
Yeah, so it kind of takes the pressure off, right? It's like,
Right.
okay, maybe it's not personal.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just like cosmic energies at play or something.
Exactly. But I think this begs the question, what if you don't even know where you fit into all of this?
Right.
What if you don't even know your own sign?
That's a great point, because it's like we've been exploring this map, but we haven't actually like pinpointed where you are on the map.
Exactly.
But don't worry, listeners, we're not going to leave you hanging.
Never.
Finding out your Chinese zodiac sign it's actually super easy.
It is.
All you have to do is just do a quick search online for Chinese zodiac calculator.
Easy peasy.
Enter your birth year, and voila, you've got your sign, and then you've got this whole world of self-discovery to kind of dive into.
And remember, even if you're not a horse hole, I think just understanding the characteristics of this sign, and really all the signs, it can be really illuminating.
It's true. Think about it this way. Like, do you have a friend who, they embody that horse energy, always the life of the party, like full of ideas, constantly on the move?
Right.
Or maybe you have a coworker who always impresses you with, how creative they are, how driven they are.
Mm-hmm.
This deep dive, it might give you a whole new perspective on why they do the things they do, on what motivates them.
Exactly. And who knows, maybe it will inspire you to learn a little bit more about your own sign and how that interacts with this fascinating world of the Chinese zodiac.
Yeah, because it really is a journey of self-discovery, and it can really deepen your understanding, not just of yourself, but of the people around you too. Well, as much as we would love to gallop through the entire Chinese zodiac with you right now,
Right.
we've kind of reached the finish line for today's deep dive.
We have.
But we wouldn't want to let you go without leaving you with one final thought.
Always have to leave them with something to ponder.
Right, exactly. What's a deep dive without a little something to mull over?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So as you go about your day today, we invite you to consider this. How might understanding the strengths and weaknesses, not just of the horse, but of any sign, really, how might that help you to navigate the relationships in your own life?
Ooh, good one.
Right. So, for instance, maybe it helps you to approach a certain conversation with more empathy, or maybe it helps you to better appreciate why someone needs their freedom.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just about recognizing, that really unique dance that happens between different personalities.
A really good question. Something to think about for sure.
Lots to ponder.
And on that note, from all of us here at The Deep Dive, thank you so much for joining us on this exploration of the Year of the Horse.
Thanks, everyone.
Until next time, keep asking those questions, stay curious, and remember, knowledge is power.